Obviously, I hope that we have opportunity just to share ideas with one another. I'm hoping that you guys will share some of your own best practices or tools that you love or just experiences in general so we can continue to learn from one another and just have a little bit of fun at the end of the day exploring new things. I will say, though, that 45 minutes is not very much to dig in to such a robust standard. So we're just going to scratch the surface. And a lot of the things that we cover today are going to tie in directly with some additional offerings that we're going to be having on our tech. Um, what is it? Our Chill Tech event in February. And I'll tell you more about that later, too. But just to get us started, let's start by just looking at what is the knowledge constructor standard. And I have linked here for you. So up here, you can click where it says knowledge constructor, and that will take you to ISTE's website that explains the standards. And we'll look at that together in just a minute. But just understanding that this standard is broken down even further to cover these four key areas that you see here. So, we're talking about effective research strategies, evaluating information, curating information, and exploring real world issues. So, when we look at ISTE's site, this is a great one for you to explore if you haven't had the opportunity to come here. I like to use ISTE's site. If we scroll down, you'll see here's Knowledge Constructor, and it gives you a detailed description with links that kind of expand or unpack exactly what it means when it's talking about, research strategies. And it cites several specific things, using different tools and criteria for online searching, bookmarking, exactly what it's referring to when it says resources. These aren't just articles or books, it could include any number of things. And the same thing for evaluating information. So, when we talk about evaluating information, teaching students to evaluate their sources based on accuracy, validity, bias, their origin, the relevance to what it is that they're trying to do. And then curation, when we start to think about bringing information from those sources together, bringing the sources themselves together in a way that they can continue to work with. And then exploring the real world issues is helping students to continue to build their knowledge, just their knowledge base of all kinds of issues in general that will continue to help them contribute to society, right? And to better understand their communities, their world. And in doing so, they're also building these skills, you know, finding, locating information that helps them to do that. The other thing that I would really encourage you to do, we're not going to watch these videos today, but each of the components of the Knowledge Constructor Standard include a YouTube video that ISTE has created. And I'll say that each of the videos for the Knowledge Constructor Standard, I just love the different best practices that educators are highlighting. Most of the schools that were featured in these videos are from the different areas in Virginia, so not too far away. But the very first one, where it talks about effective research strategies, it just highlights a really cool collaboration between high school students and elementary school students, where elementary school students who are just learning about a research process and coming up with their search strategies for a project get to talk to a high school student to share. And then a high school student gives feedback to those students explaining, oh, that's a good plan. Have you thought about this? Or when I do research, I really like to do this. And so it was cementing what the high schoolers knew about smart searching and information seeking strategies, and also helping those young learners, kind of start to grow those skills. It's really cool. And they met virtually, like using Google Meet, like we are today. So it's just, these videos are great for giving us ideas of, thinking outside of the box. for how we can achieve some of these things with our own students. So definitely continue to explore these videos if you can. So when we break down all of those, let me come back here. When we break down all of those different pieces, here's kind of a bulleted list of what we're talking about. And this is something that I would love for you to share your own experiences with for your students. So when you think about your students and their ability to identify what their information needs are, right? And their ability to ask good questions, or, just use smart search strategies, or being able to evaluate the things that they see, whether it's a information source, an article, a video or a picture that they encounter online, for its accuracy, its any bias that may be present, if it's even real or AI generated. Their ability to organize and curate information or synthesize information, and then cite and share responsibly. So just kind of looking at that list, which of these do you feel like your students struggle with the most? You can either turn on your mic or you can use our chat to share. All responses are welcome.
Just based on research that I have done with online and digital learning, I think a biggie would be accuracy and bias, because there's so many conflicting, even as an adult, when I watch the news and I read a story, what's true, what's not.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ms. Luce, because, it is something that is so important to all ages. And we see adults falling, victim to misinformation just as much as we do our students sometimes. So I'm so glad that you pointed that out. And then Sarah Fawn shares that her students were struggling a lot with synthesizing from multiple sources to be able to draw their own conclusion. So, being able to say, okay, here's source one, source two, source three. Now, how do I bring it all together to make meaning? And thank you, Molly, for kind of reiterating that too, just that whole synthesizing. It is hard. And we are definitely seeing, as Molly pointed out, now that students are more than willing to let AI do that work for them. And it's one reason why this standard is so important and pressing for today. Anybody else have any other ideas or things that you want to share? Which of these you feel like you see your students struggling with the most? One thing that I think specifically, with students that I have worked with is that, they're so quick to want to skip those initial stages of asking questions, right? Like they're just so used to saying, okay, here's the prompt or here's the problem that I have for my teacher. I'm going to copy and paste that either into Google or Chat GPT or whatever they're using. And so they are skipping those initial steps too. And that's something that stands out to me. So if you think of other things or want to, they just want to be done with it, right? It's just, how quick can I get through this? And instead of, hey, let me really engage and think about this, like that interdisciplinary learning that Molly mentioned too. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of introduce you to a lot of things. Like I said, each one of these things we could just spend so much time on. And I hope that this will just kind of serve as a jumping off point for you to continue your own exploration. And always, 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 I would love to continue to collaborate with you and follow up with you to explore these resources more. So one thing that I personally, feel like is missing sometimes is that intentional teaching of skills. And so, like I put here, we often hear, teachers say, okay, class, you're going to do research and then they go on to spend time talking about what that final product is going to look like, right? You're going to make the essay, or you're going to do the presentation, or you're going to record this or create this. And the skills that lead up to that, which are the research skills, right? They don't provide the direct instruction on that. And I think about the example of note taking, for instance. A lot of times students, especially once they get to the secondary level, teachers often assume or think that, they know how to take notes. And so they don't receive the direct instruction on here's how you take notes. And some of you might have had that experience yourself, right? Like, did you have a teacher that specifically taught you how to take the notes? And that's one reason why I think I love the AVID program so much, right? That it is very focused on teaching those explicit skills. But, if we assume that, oh, yeah, they figured it out, or just because they know how to use the smartphones really well, they know how to do the research. And it's just not true. And so being very intentional about teaching the process, teaching the skills that lead up to those products that, we want students to complete. So what I have shared here are just a couple of different frameworks. Like when we think about the research process, like from beginning to end, what does that look like? So if you're just kind of bamboozled by where do I start? Here are a couple that you may find helpful that I know maybe some school librarians are already, sharing or implementing or teaching within their schools. And if not, this is definitely something that anybody can use. So one is the Big Six framework. And there's also the simplified version that's more applicable to early elementary, and that's called the Super 3. And so if you open this up, I'm just going to open it real quick to give you an idea of what we're talking about. So it just walks students through the process from first defining the task, like here's what I have to do. Let me break that down. What is my question? What are my keywords going to look like? And that leading into, those information seeking strategies. Where am I going to look? Accessing those sources, extracting the information from those sources, and then synthesizing it to write the essay or to create the presentation or whatever. And finally, evaluating, like, how did it all go? That simplified version is just like, first I plan, then I do it, and then I review it. So that's like, how did I do? So, and then slowly building those skills to get to the 6 steps. So that's one framework. Another that is commonly used is the guided inquiry design framework. And I'll show you what this looks like. So this one, a lot of people look at this and they kind of get scared away, especially at the elementary level. But I kind of almost like this visual better because the overlapping that you see happening here really does reflect, just how much the different levels kind of work, and it is fluid. And so I might move back and forth between these as I come up with new questions, or I realize, hey, that source didn't work for me at all. Let me take a step back. So I like the guided inquiry design process because, it does reflect what we're really doing in that process better, I feel like. But, either one is a great framework or starting point to use with your students. I also have included here, so we've done a whole session before just on connect the resources that we have in NCA Cloud, connected resources, I lost my words, connected resources for students and for teachers. I want to highlight again for you, though. Oops. Let me go back. I want to highlight again for you, though, teachbritannica.com. because there is just so much good stuff here, y'all. And you don't have to log into NCA Cloud to access it, which is another great thing. So if you'll open up teachbritannica.com, it's linked in here, or again, you can just go in your web browser to teachbritannica.com. I want to show you all the goodness you have at your disposal. So whatever level you work with, I encourage you to click that, whether it's elementary, middle, or high. I'm going to go in middle because, hey, I'm just going to work towards the middle here. There's a couple of things that I want to point out that I feel like is super helpful for, approaching this, especially if it's something that you are not used to explicitly teaching students, these research skills. And that is the lesson minis. No matter what level you choose, whether it's elementary, middle, or high, there are lessons that are here that are already designed for you that you can use to teach students these important skills. And they are very much geared towards that audience, like that level of audience. So it's not like just this is what it is for everybody. So you'll see that. So if you wanted to do some comparison, you'll definitely recognize that. So if we scroll down, excuse me, you'll see that there are a lot of great lessons here just on media literacy, which is super important and also very related to the knowledge constructor standard. But when I scroll down, hey, look at this lesson on generating research questions or selecting a topic. And again, this points to the importance of student choice, as much as possible, when we're guiding students through the inquiry process, giving them that flexibility to work with topics that truly interest them. So helping them select a topic, or effective searching, understanding sources and information, taking notes and citing sources, organizing, aka synthesizing to present research. All of the things right here, all of these lessons echo exactly what the knowledge constructor standard is asking us to do with students. And just to give you an idea of what it looks like and just how truly awesome these are, I'm going to open just one up. So it gives you key vocabulary that you can use with students, whether it's on your word wall or wherever, however you like to, present vocabulary to students. It gives you some authentic learning extensions, including real world connections, always valuable to help students see relevance. And then it will offer several different activities. In most cases, this one has 4 different activities. So this one is digital research techniques. So it explains it. If I expand on this, it tells you exactly what's needed, and it will link in the documents that you might need. So this one has the vocabulary one-pager graphic organizer. If I expand on implementation, it gives me detailed resources instructions on how to execute this lesson with students. But wait, there's more: differentiation and variations. So it gives you ideas on how to, um, offer students this in different formats and for collaborative teaching. So whether you are collaborating with a school librarian, or librarians are collaborating with classroom teachers, or you have an inclusion teacher maybe that you work with, it can give you ideas on how to execute these lessons collaboratively. So, and again, each one is different. So this is generating keywords, using advanced search techniques to find sources, something we're going to mention in just a minute. So again, everything that you need, and the similar topics are covered again at the elementary and high school level as well. So those are the lesson minis. There's also good stuff here. Always going to love the bell ringers and exit tickets and the instructional strategies, but the graphic organizers also have a lot of files that you can use. Again, print it out for students, download it, drop it in Google Classroom, upload it into a different source. We'll talk about a couple of those later. So that lend themselves really well to these tasks. And we're going to look at a couple of those together in just a minute. But teachbritannica.com, all the goodness, all the goodness. Okay, so moving forward, trying to watch my time because there's just so much stuff I wanted to share. Okay, so here is again that idea of helping students to develop smart search skills, including brainstorming those keywords from the beginning. So starting at the beginning and walking them through what that whole process is going to look like. And so, if it's a class research project, then, maybe you want to help them, you can generate those together. And then as they become more independent or are, doing their own self-selected research topics or projects, then you can show them how to do that for themselves. I've linked in here Google's advanced search. So that was one of the things that was just referenced in our lesson mini that we were taking a look at. So showing students how to use those advanced search features. And if you haven't used Google's advanced search or you can't remember, on the Google search page, it's not clear, how do I get there? You can just go to google.com/advanced_search. This format in and of itself really guides students through those, advanced search strategies, thinking about search terms that they're looking for, what they're not looking for, the whole idea of the date, looking for current information so we can, restrict our results based off of time, certain domains. So, what are more credible domains? So just using this form with students will teach them a lot in regards to what should I be thinking about or what does this look like, rather than me just copying and pasting my whole prompt for this project into the Google search bar. So advanced searching is definitely something that is helpful, but also just matching databases to meet specific needs. And this is where I come back to those resources in NCEd Cloud that we've talked about before. I'm going to open that up just to show you real quick one in particular. So for this, you do have to be logged into NCEd Cloud. And if you haven't attended any of the sessions we've done previously on NCEd Cloud's resources, these purple folders that you see at the top of your page likely, these are the folders that include all of the databases and tools that can really support student research. You see that they're divided out by grade level. You see them all, but students are only going to see the one that is, appropriate for them. So, and then you have the white, the one that has the white background with the purple blobs. Here, those are the one, that's the folder for the teachers. That one has everything in it, regardless of level. So you can see everything in your folder. But, whatever age group you work with, it is good to, access their folder just so that you can see, like, here's what they're seeing and here's what I'm seeing. But when we go into the folder, excuse me, there's a couple of things that I wanted to point out. Britannica School is a great database for students to do research. It doesn't have an advanced search feature. Explora is a little bit more advanced in regards to, there's just a little bit more on the page, but it does offer a nice advanced search feature. And, oops, sorry, I didn't change my tab, so I just opened up Explora. Let me share where I was. I clicked on the Explora here in the teacher folder. And when you get there, again, it's going to ask you what grade level are you working with. You could choose, but students, again, will only see what's appropriate for them. So I'm going to go in 6-8. And here you'll see that I can access advanced search over here underneath the search bar, or I can also access it over in the left toolbar. And so when I click on advanced search, much like we saw with advanced search in Google, it's going to give me, the opportunity to add additional keywords to change those Boolean um, operators to either include or exclude certain words, to give it that time frame that I'm looking for and things like that. But this one also has a citation help link, and it has a research guide link too. So this research guide you can use with students. It has a lot of different resources. Recipe for Research, a 6-step process guide. Now, if you open this up and take a look at it, it's obviously not something that is going to be something very accessible for the elementary level, but for the secondary level, that would be a pretty accessible document. But you also have a topics for research handout, search strategies handout. So there's a lot of good resources here that can support helping students to, be smarter searchers when it comes to their research projects. So I wanted to show you that. One other thing too, real quick, helping students understand that, depending on what their information source is, their information need is or problem that they're trying to answer, there might be a database that's very specific to that. So for instance, if they're preparing for a debate or they're writing a paper on a topic that's, pretty controversial, the points of view reference source, the points of view database is a great place to start because it's going to give, both sides of the topic that they're looking at. And, if I'm debating or I'm trying to, write an essay, an argumentative essay, then I need to know both sides of the topic. So just helping them understand different databases can meet different information needs. And we have, a lot of great things here that we can do. We know that it's going to give us exactly what we're looking for. It's going to provide that citation help along the way and just kind of make it so much easier. Okay, so we're going to zip along. Okay, so now students have started to, use smarter search strategies. They've started to, think about maybe databases that could help with that. And so Ms. Luce is asking about the school access ID and passcode for Britannica School. It should not, you shouldn't be required to do that. If you log in through NC Ed Cloud, in ClassLink, if you go to NC Ed Cloud, or you can just go to my.ncedcloud.org, where we typically go to access Canvas or NESIS for our evaluation and all that. Once you open it up through there, you shouldn't be asked to supply any additional information. And if you do run into that problem, just reach out to me and I can definitely, help walk you through that. So now I wanted to just share with you a few tools that students can use to, kind of start working with those sources, bringing together the information pieces. There's a lot of digital tools. And again, this is just a sampling. And hopefully you'll see something that you're like, oh, hey, that's cool. I could use that. Sometimes, it's just a matter of thinking differently about something that we already use all the time. So we know we have our Google apps. Students can use Google Docs or Slides or even Google Sites to, bring together their sources of information for note taking. Does anybody use Google Keep? Is anybody a Google Keep fan? I love Google Keep. Yay. So I see a couple of thumbs up. Okay, so Google Keep, just like all the other Google apps, if you go to keep.google.com, you'll find it, or it's in your waffle menu too. So where you click on the little waffle menu to get to your different Google apps, you'll see Keep there. And there's also a Chrome extension that you can add so that you'll see the little Google Keep light bulb no matter what website that you're on. And this link that I put here will take you to that. So I'm going to show you what Google Keep looks like. Now, I use my Google Keep for my on my personal account more. I just use it more for my personal stuff than I do my work stuff, or that's at least how I've kind of organized it for me. But so here's what it looks like. It's the little yellow paper with the light bulb on it. And let me show you what I can do with this. So if I add that Chrome extension, here is a website. Any of my librarian folks will know that, of course, I was reading this article here. And so if I have the Google Keep extension on, so let's say I'm a student, I'm doing research, I found this website, I want to use this as one of my sources, I need to start taking notes for this. So here's my little extension, the little puzzle piece looking thing up here. Here's my Google Keep extension. So when I open it, and if I'm inside a Google application, you'll see it on the right-hand side, and I'll show you that in a second. But if I'm just on the web, after I install Google Keep, I can pull this up and take a note anywhere. So it's already included the title of my article and how to get there. And so now I can just click on create a note. Oops, it didn't let me type my note. I forgot to type my note. Sorry. Let me do that one more time. Okay, so now I can take a note. It gives me a title, so I could add my subheading here, and then I could add my note. The band, the books. All right, and I'm going to create my note. So now it's saved. I can add another note if I want to, but it's saying view and keep. So now if I click this, it's going to take me to Google Keep. And there's my note. So when I close it, I'll see that here are some notes that I had. It's in Google Keep. I can add a label to this. Over here are my labels. So it's automatically giving me my inspiration label, my personal, and my work, but I can add labels. So I added a label for my research project just by going here, edit labels. So I can add as many labels as I want. So let's say, this is my research project I'm working on, and I can organize my notes by labels. So I can change the label, or if I haven't added it to a label, let me put this, I didn't add this. I'm going to add a label, and this is for my research project. And so now it's saved. So I can easily keep all those together. I've got all my notes from that source. And then if I want to, I can also copy this to Google Docs. Again, another reason why I really like Google Keep, because it's a Google app. So it's working seamlessly with all the other Google apps. So I can copy it to Google Docs. Here it is. And I'm going to open that doc. And so you'll see how it's pulled it in ever so nicely. So this is a great way for me to kind of pull my note taking together. I didn't have to leave the website to take my notes. It was all right there. So I really love that. Another option that I have here for you are just, there's a lot of things inside Canva. I know we love Canva. So you could use whiteboards. I have a link here. So I could embed my source and then add sticky notes all around it to take my notes. But you can also create docs and websites in Canva. Book Creator, I think, is a really great option too. Our district had a Book Creator pilot that is now just recently ending. However, their free plan is very robust, and you can do a lot with a free Book Creator plan. At our February 16th Chill Tech, we're going to have someone with us from Book Creator who is going to show us how to really maximize that free plan to get, a lot of bang for our $0 out of that. So what I have here for you is just an example of a little book that I put together that highlights some of the templates that they have. So, and you can, if you like this, you can click remix, and then you'll be able to continue to add templates to it. These are templates that already exist in Book Creator. So they have ones for brainstorming. So that would be good for those early phases of the research process. And then they have KWHL charts. So students could type in what they know, what they need to find out. That could help them start finding those keywords. There's note-taking templates like Cornell note-taking, a lot of others, and all of these are editable. So I could click on this and, type anything that I wanted to in these boxes. There's a template for citing my sources. And I saw this one. I hadn't seen this one in Book Creator before, but this one is really nice. An AI use and reflection rubric. So, if students are using AI in their research, like this is, helps them be very mindful of how did I use this? And they can easily record themselves explaining their answers and things like that. So Book Creator could be a great tool as well. And then I linked here, again, some of those graphic organizers from Teach Britannica, like the pre-research planner. And you can open these up and explore those a little bit more on your own, too. So again, probably a lot of other tools that, yes. So somebody's like, I had no idea I could use Keep on my computer. So yeah, I use it on my phone all the time, which is probably why it's mainly on my personal account. But yes, you can add that extension. And like I mentioned, let me just pull up a document real quick. Let me find something that's, here's my little thing. Okay, so here's just a random document that I have. This little tab down here in the bottom to the right, if you can see that, if I expand it out, it opens up this extra toolbar over here, and there's Keep. So I can get to keep or add notes here in my documents as well, too. So yes, definitely take advantage of Keep. I love it. All right, so we're going to move forward, and just for sake of time, because I wanted to definitely show you this goodness. This is my awesomeness here. But if you have other digital tools or, things that you use regularly to, help students with note taking, or things that you have really just had success with in helping students organize their research or ideas, please share those in the chat so that we can, make note of that. That would be super helpful. Now, here is an AI tool that I am all about. I don't get all about all of the AI tools, but this is one that, as a librarian, as an English teacher, as all the things, just as a professional, like, working with you guys, like I could see how, we could use Notebook LM for all the things. So Notebook LM is I just describe it as an AI research assistant companion, however you want to describe it. It offers you so many different ways to help you organize and interact with your sources. And here's just a couple of things that I've noted here. So I like it because ultimately students have to add their own sources. First level, students add their own sources. So they're having to do the work of locating the sources, right? And that's important. So they're adding the sources and pulling those in. There is also, though, a deep research feature now that will, help them dig in even deeper. And so the AI assistant will help them locate more sources that are great sources and relevant to their topic. For them to then, take the step of looking through the sources that the deep research feature gave them and determine, oh, yeah, this works for me. No, that doesn't. So they're still doing the thinking. Students have the ability, they can add notes. There's an add note feature in there, but they can also just have a dialogue with their sources, which I think is really cool for really understanding, what the information is that the source provides. And there's some really nice collaborative features that would allow students and you to work together. So now I will say right now, Notebook LM is not open in our district for students. We're hoping very soon that students will begin their AI literacy coursework. And then once they complete that, then we'll be able to open these features. But I think Notebook LM is something that we can already use in really incredible ways with students, with the teachers doing the driving. So here's the little icon of what it looks like. Again, it's a Google app. it connects and plays nicely with all the Google things. And you can access it and see it in your little waffle menu in your Google applications. So I'm just going to show you real quick an example of a notebook that I've created. And when you go into Notebook LM, you can you'll click on Create a Notebook. And so measles cases and outbreaks. So this connected to a research project that I did with some 8th grade students, language arts students that I taught online. And it just was kind of an extension of studying like different epidemics that had occurred in our country and around the world. So for my example, I was working with measles because just at the beginning of this year, we saw measles outbreaks happening in different parts of our country as a result of, changes in vaccination practices. And so I thought, hey, how timely. So if I want to add a source, all I have to do is click Add Sources here, and I can add something from my Google Drive, but I can also pull in a website, a YouTube video. I can upload something from my computer. So lots of different options. And here are 3 sources that I pulled in. As a teacher driver, you can ask your students, okay, give me a source, find a good source and send it to me, and I'm going to put it in our notebook. So that's one way that we can approach it. You're doing the driving, have students share the source with you. Now that I have my 3 sources here, it's giving me a nice summary of those sources. And over here to the right is the section where I said you could add notes. So I could click on Add a Note. And again, I can put my subheading here. Oops. And type what my note is. It gives me the opportunity to add a bulleted list. So a lot of good features there. I'm going to delete that though, just so I don't keep adding jumble over here. Here, though, I can start typing, so I can question my sources, and it gives me some ideas of what some of those questions might look like. And I can check and uncheck which sources I want to question or interact with. So right now, if I type a question, it's going to be pulling from all 3 of my sources. But if I just wanted to work with this first CDC source, then I could start interacting and questioning that source. Another thing, as a teacher-driven experience, all of these features over here would be great opportunities. Students gave you the sources. Now we can create the audio overview. So many of you maybe have heard the podcast that it creates. Here's just a little listen. So it did this podcast. Here it is, measles outbreaks, the unvaccinated.
Measles. It's a name that, honestly, it should just be in the history books by now.
It really should.
It's airborne. It's incredibly
infectious. I don't know if you guys, if you're hearing that,
before we had a way to fight it, it was...
Yep, thank you, Vicki.
It was killer.
So,
absolutely.
And the U.S.
They can listen to that, so I can, students bring all those sources in. They've given me the sources. I can let them listen to that podcast. It could be a warm-up. It could be a station that students rotate through, like to facilitate small group learning. It also creates explainer video. So I created this brief explain. I didn't create it, but it created this brief explain. So it used my sources and made this really cute.
All right, welcome to the
thing.
Explainer. Today, we're talking about something I think a lot of us thought was basically ancient history. Measles.
It's true.
In early 2025, this highly contagious...
And so students can watch that. So right here, I'm already supporting again, like those UDL principles, the universal design. I've got my articles that, students found and we read. I have this podcast that they can listen to help them work through and cement their understanding of the different perspectives. They have the video that they can watch. And all they had to do was bring it in here. And the way that Notebook LM works, it's not the content, it stays here. It's not something that is used to train any other AI models on. So that's a nice thing too. Here's the deep research feature. It's grayed out here because I've already enabled it. But now students had the opportunity with deep research to find 20 more sources. And the thing that I like is that, it gives them the opportunity that they can click this and actually visit the source so that they can see, oh, yeah, that is a good source. So it can expand, those next steps of, hey, let's do that lateral reading to check, is this true among all these sources? That's a really important skill too. I could spend forever here, but I know our time is up. And I just wanted you to see I could not share a knowledge constructor experience with you without showing you Notebook LM. It's just a really cool tool that can, be useful in any number of things. Here are just a few resources I wanted to leave you with. You know, misinformation abounds, which is why this is super important. So I've given you some resources here from News Literacy Project, which I just love. These are quizzes that are super fun, but just help students understand why this is important. Why do we need these skills? This is a lesson from Common Sense Media on evaluated sources, but I've also given you here links to two evaluation tools you can use. The CRAP test, which, hey, what middle schooler isn't going to love to say the CRAP test? And the SIFT method is another alternative to that. A resource for citing sources, Purdue OWL is great, and you can access APA if you are, teaching in the sciences, or MLA if you are our English folks. And then I've also included here AI Trust You, which I just think is a really neat add-on to help walk students through writing those disclosure statements if they are using AI. I know that was a ton, and I know we're past our time. I would love for anybody to share either in, and thank you, yes, Dave, the Tree Octopus, that is those are great websites for students to recognize the misinformation out there sometimes and to practice those evaluation skills. Anybody would like to share either in the chat or turn on your mics, anything that just kind of stood out to you, something you saw that you love, a question you still have, anything at all that you would like to?
I just put in the chat, I was in grad school 83 to 85, and I remember going through the stacks and having my little thing of nickels to make copies.
Your nickels?
Yes, and having
It
to
was
do
only a nickel?
yeah, per page, and having to do my inter university exchanges and waiting for those resources to come. I mean, anybody that doesn't take advantage of this, man, whoo,
100%.
wow.
And it wasn't even that long ago, Nikki. I think that's the thing that stands out to me. Like, I remember my high school experience. When I walked into the library, there was a card catalog. Like, the internet was not a thing that I experienced until my senior year of high school and in college. And so, yeah, like, we definitely remember those times. But microfiche, oh, my goodness. But, our students don't know that time. And so, yeah, we're definitely having to train our brains, right? For sure. Any other things anybody would like to share? Your takeaways or your ahas? I know the smell of books is something that I will never give up. Sarah Fawn, that's something that's always going to be in my heart. Well, I did want to just leave you with ways that you can continue to learn more in this here student knowledge building. This is actually a micro credential. If you enjoy this topic and you would like to continue to learn more and demonstrate, your practice of this, we have this in Canvas where you can earn this micro credential. We also have pulled in the digital citizenship micro credential in Canvas, and we have our basic AI literacy for the high school classroom. So you have a lot of great things that you can continue to learn. We have linked here too previously recorded sessions. So I referenced a couple of things from the past that you can find there as well. And then Chill Tech is coming February 16th. It's a day full of so much goodness. And you're going to see all of that starting to pop up and kick up very soon. So Book Creator, Canva, Adobe, Markify, so many good things. I mean, the list just goes on, and I hope that you guys will sign up for that. And don't forget to take advantage of your ISTE and SCD memberships. They're free for you. Here is your QR code. You want to use the one over on the right. If you are a JCPS employee, please make sure you get credit. And after I give you a second to take care of that, our folks who are joining us from outside of JCPS, we love you and we're so glad you're here. We have a feedback form that you can use as well to help us continue to improve always. And if you are a JCPS employee, please take that extra step to leave feedback and kick up, because we definitely rely on that and use that to improve moving forward. Here's that link for our non-JCPS folks to give us some feedback. And our whole digital learning team, Michelle, Dave, and myself, we're always here. We literally mean it when we say contact us anytime. We want to do projects and all the things, have all the fun. And thank you again for being here. I'm sorry I went a little over time, but I told you I was going to geek out. I gave you fair warning. And so, yay. I hope y'all have a great, warm night and safe travels home. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye, Sarah. And I'm here if anybody has any questions or anything before you head out.